The United States and Israel struck Iran. Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz. The price of oil per barrel rose from $70 to $105. In this video, we presented the latest developments in the war unfolding along the axis of Iran, the United States, and Israel. We wish you a good viewing. As the war entered its second week, the shock phase had already passed. The clashes had begun to be waged not only against military targets but also through the global economy. Iranian missiles started targeting the oil fields of Gulf countries such as Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Iraq, which host American aircraft. The first attack was carried out on Abqaiq, the world's largest oil processing facility belonging to Saudi Arabia. Major fires broke out in the facility's stabilization towers and storage tanks. Approximately 25% of the country's daily oil production was temporarily taken offline. On March 12, 2 oil tankers off the coast of Iraq were attacked by the Iranian military. Following this attack, in which one person was killed, Iraq temporarily suspended all oil operations. After this attack, the U.S. military, which had been loading B-2 heavy bombers in Germany, decided to halt its preparations, because U.S. President Trump did not want these attacks threatening the global economy to escalate. He also did not want the already soaring oil prices to rise further. At this point, the United States and Israel fell into disagreement. While Trump wanted to avoid attacks that could affect energy markets, Netanyahu wanted to continue strikes on power plants and oil facilities to bring Iran to its knees. March 13th was a critical day for Turkey. A ballistic missile belonging to Iran entered Turkish airspace for the third time. Explosion sounds were heard in and around Adana, while sirens were heard from Incirlik Air Base. According to sources from the Ministry of Defense, NATO elements neutralized the missile. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan spoke with his Iranian counterpart and demanded an explanation. The statement from Iran was the same as before: "We did not fire the missile toward you." Another important event on March 13th took place in northern Iraq. In a drone attack on a military base in Makmur, 1 French soldier was killed and 6 others were wounded. On the same day, the Israeli army announced that it was preparing for a ground operation in Lebanon, which it had been bombing from the air for a long time. The aim was to eliminate Hezbollah's presence in southern Lebanon and destroy its military targets. Also on the same day, Quds Force Corps commander Davut al-Azaid in Lebanon was killed in an airstrike on Tehran. On the night of March 14th, Hezbollah launched hundreds of rockets at Tel Aviv and Haifa, all of which were intercepted by air defense systems. UNICEF announced that since the beginning of the war, 230 children in Iran, 91 in Lebanon, 4 in Israel, and 1 in Kuwait had lost their lives, and millions of children were unable to attend school. On March 15th, Trump announced that he had temporarily lifted restrictions on the sale of Russian oil. This move was an attempt to ease the economic pressure of the war. However, this initiative did not have a significant impact on oil prices. Toward the evening of March 15th, the Iranian military and Hezbollah launched a coordinated missile attack. In these missile strikes targeting Haifa, Tel Aviv, and many other cities, 3 people were killed and 58 were injured. In the evening hours, the Iranian military carried out drone attacks on Bahrain, Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar. It was reported that fuel tanks were hit in Bahrain, while the main power line in Kuwait was disabled. The United States and Israeli aircraft responded with airstrikes against Iran. A large-scale attack was carried out on Karg Island, which hosts 90% of Iran's oil exports. While nearly 100 military targets were struck, it was stated that oil infrastructure was not targeted. Simultaneously, it was announced that Hezbollah security commander Abu Ali al-Asari was killed in an airstrike on Baghdad. March 15th was a day when divisions within NATO deepened. Trump stated that an operation in the Strait of Hormuz was necessary to prevent the oil crisis from escalating and that NATO should support this operation. However, NATO countries rejected Trump's call for support, stating that this was not NATO's war. On March 16th, Israeli aircraft targeted high-ranking Iranian officials. Ali Larijani, chairman of Iran's National Security Council, and Gholam Reza Soleimani, commander of the Basij force affiliated with the Revolutionary Guards, were killed. Iran responded with a missile attack in which 2 Israeli civilians were killed in the city of Ramat Gan. On March 17th, the Israeli army launched a ground operation and began occupying southern Lebanon. Israeli Defense Minister Katz stated that the operation resembled the one carried out in the Gaza Strip and would not end until Hezbollah was completely eliminated. Trump called on the Syrian government to support the ground operation in Lebanon. However, the Syrian president rejected this proposal. On March 18th, the energy war escalated to its peak. Israeli aircraft carried out strikes on Iran's South Pars natural gas field in the Persian Gulf and nearby oil facilities. The South Pars gas field formed the backbone of Iran's energy sector. Such an attack threatened not only Iran but also the global energy market with devastation. Iran delivered a critical response to this attack. It struck the Ras Laffan LNG facility in Qatar, jointly operated by Shell and Qatarnergy. 2 of the 14 production lines became inoperable. The explosion and subsequent fire caused damage to the rest of the facility. According to a statement from Qatarnergy, approximately 17% of Qatar's liquefied natural gas export capacity was taken offline. It was stated that due to the extent of the damage, it could take 3 to 5 years to return to full capacity. This situation results in an annual revenue loss of approximately $20 billion for Qatar and means that about 3% of global LNG supply has been withdrawn from the market. Another significant event on March 18th was the killing of Iranian intelligence minister Ismail Khatib in an airstrike on Tehran. During this attack, the Iranian military shot an American F-35 fighter jet. Although the aircraft did not crash, it sustained moderate damage and made an emergency landing. The fact that this aircraft, promoted as a symbol of stealth and superior technology, was hit was psychologically significant. On March 19th, the Bazan refinery in Haifa, Israel, was hit by an Iranian missile strike. 3 workers at the power plant used for electricity generation were killed, and the facility suffered serious damage. Following the attack, a major power outage occurred in the region, and the plant was reported to be completely out of service. On the same day, Netanyahu's statement, "You cannot make a revolution from the air. You must also have forces on the ground," indicated that Israel was considering a ground operation against Iran. On March 21st, the U.S. military announced that 130 Iranian vessels had been sunk so far, more than 8,000 military targets had been struck, and nearly 1,000 Iranian soldiers had been killed. The next day, the U.S. military struck the Natanz nuclear facility with bunker-buster bombs. According to claims, the facility has now become completely unusable. Iran retaliated by striking the Shimon Peres Nuclear Research Center in southern Israel. While the facility sustained minor damage, 3 people were killed and 120 were injured. At this point, the war reached a dangerous level, because a potential leak at nuclear facilities could affect a very large area and cause serious problems. Also on March 21st, the Iranian military carried out a missile attack on the joint US-UK base on Diego Garcia Island, India. Although the missiles were intercepted near the island, the key issue here was the long range of Iranian missiles. Because Diego Garcia Island is located in the middle of the Indian Ocean and is approximately 4,000 kilometers away from the nearest Iranian land. On March 22nd, Trump addressed Iran, demanding that they reopen the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours, otherwise the country's energy facilities would be destroyed. About 24 hours later, Iran responded by stating that ships from countries not involved in the attacks could pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Of course, on the condition that they pay a transit fee of $2 million. As of March 23rd, when we prepared this video, mutual standoffs, bombings, and threats are still ongoing. It is also being discussed that 3,000 elite U.S. troops may be deployed to the Middle East for a ground operation against Iran. See you in the next videos, stay tuned.